Welcome back to Eater's Digest. With me, as always, is Willow North. Willow, we're doing products at the top from now on. Please tell me what the hot new products are.
All right, first up, I have Buff's Beef Puffs.
This is human kibble, is it not? It's like freeze-dried, spherized meat puff?
Yeah, it's like Cheeto meat, basically.
Very gross. I don't imagine you'll be buying that as a first-time meat reintroducer.
Yeah, I have been dabbling a little bit more. I ate chicken wings for the first time recently. Very good, I will say. I don't see myself dipping into beef puffs anytime soon.
Okay, we'll count that one as a pass. What's next?
Next up, I have Laffy Taffy desserts. They're going to come in 4 different flavors. We got strawberries and cream, blueberry cobbler, coconut cream pie, and orange cream bar.
My Google search history looks like that of an old man right now because I Googled Laffy Taffy desserts, and it doesn't make any sense. I couldn't find anything. What is it? It's dessert-flavored Laffy Taffies, right? It's
Yes,
not Laffy
exactly.
Taffy-flavored desserts? Okay.
Yeah, it's not like cake made out of Laffy Taffy.
That's what I was expecting to see, so imagine my surprise.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Maybe the name could be a little bit better.
Okay, it's a pass for me on that one as well. I don't know about you.
I think it sounds good. I haven't eaten Laffy Taffy since I was a kid. I feel like it might pull out my fillings, but it sounds pretty good. How do you feel about Lifeway kefir butter? Someone's gonna give me a hard time about pronouncing that. I know it.
I was about to say, I'm so glad you pronounced it first. I always want to say Kiefer, like Kiefer Sutherland, and I know that's wrong.
Yeah, I hear people say kefir, and even if it's right, I can't bring myself to do it. All I can think of is Kiefer from the original Teen Mom, 16 and Pregnant. That girl's boyfriend with the mom was like, Kiefer, you gotta stop getting high with my daughter.
I don't think I've seen a single episode, and I'm glad to say it.
Well, that's good. Good for you.
I don't think that this product is going to catch on because kefir or kefir is hard enough. It doesn't roll off the tongue well. It's hard to explain. It's a product made from pearls or something, with kefir pearls. And it's just not like kombucha or other probiotic products where you're just like, yes, this is what it is. And so to add butter to the list of words is like, is it a high-fat butter? Is it more of like an apple butter where it's like only called butter because it's spreadable? I don't see it catching on.
I think it sounds like it might not taste bad. I mean, it's like a cultured butter type product, a little bit of tang. Probably tastes fine. I can't imagine the amount of probiotics you're getting in a little smear of butter is going to be that impactful to your gut microbiome. Maybe I'm wrong about that. You're probably better off just eating some sauerkraut, drinking some kombucha. But also, if you're that curious, they have a recipe of how to make it yourself on the Lifeway website, too.
I'll tell you what is impactful towards eaters and digesters. Us being committed to an engaging hook right at the top of the show. This is our year, baby. Profit 2026.
Woo!
All right, what's in the news?
Coca-Cola is discontinuing Minute Maid frozen canned juices after about 80 years as demand for the product has declined and consumers shift towards fresh, ready-to-drink beverages. The frozen juice products will be phased out in the first quarter of 2026, with the remaining stock available in stores while supplies last.
I think that when something like this happens and the requisite reportage hits the web, the natural response is to try to explain what happened in like one sentence. There will be a Facebook news headline about this discontinued juice concentrate, and then there'll be 1,000 comments diagnosing the cause of death. And in order to get some examples of what those sentences might be, I Googled Minute Maid juice Facebook, and there are some easy to find examples. Clearly, we aren't making enough margaritas. It's because we all forgot about them. It's because it's pure sugar and not real juice. And, at the risk of doing one of those myself, I do see this as a necessary step after the product just became irrelevant according to its price. These things cost like $4 or $5. And so it's just as expensive as regular juice in the refrigerated aisle. Refrigerated aisle juice has more flavors, more pulp options, more size options. It doesn't require you to mix it yourself. I haven't had one of these frozen juice concentrates since I was at most 10 years old. And I think the reason why it was purchased in the first place was a matter of frugality. And at $4 a can, anyone who's cost conscious enough to buy juice concentrate would sooner buy the store brand and not Minute Maid.
I don't know what's going on over there in Arizona, why these are so expensive, but I looked it up on Instacart, and for me, it's $1.99 if they're even still actually in store. So
is that for the Minute Maid brand or for the store brand?
Yes,
Wow.
That is for Minute Maid frozen juice. So there's definitely a big price disparity there. So not to say that can't be a factor. Obviously, things, I live in a more rural area. You live in a more city type area, I imagine. This still seems, at least based on the price that I saw, like a very cheap product. If you got a lot of kids, they're drinking a lot of juice. It doesn't go bad in the same way. You can stock your freezer up with them and just have them on hand to make. I grew up drinking these. In fact, I have memories of like going in the freezer and just trying to eat the frozen concentrate with a spoon. Not good. Don't recommend it.
Yeah, I remember the way that it sort of flaked apart was just not that satisfying.
Yeah, it was like a really, really disgusting sticky sorbet. As a kid, I was like, this is the closest thing I'm going to get to ice cream here. Um, and I did indeed used to use these to make margaritas in my youth. That was like my whole thing is I would show up to a party and be like, "Where's your blender?" And I'd have this disgusting frozen juice, and I would just use the tube to measure the amount of tequila that I'm putting in them and stuff. They were terrible. I don't recommend making a margarita that way. So I don't think that's going to be the cause of death for these either. I think the two biggest things are like, I feel like we saw this really big like cold pressed juice craze in like the late 2010s. So everyone is just like, I know juice from concentrate, evil, bad. And also we're like living in the era of like hyper functional beverages. Like it has to do something for people to want to spend money on it. And if there's not protein or fiber or probiotics, people don't care.
Well, the juice aisle is still just as full as ever before. You've got Simply Orange and Simply Apple and all these Simply juices. So I
But
struggled to.
those are like $6.
Yeah, I guess so. Whenever we compare grocery prices in the Discord server, Arizona does come in below seemingly most other people. So I am kind of shocked at this sort of. The lowest I was able to find is like a 325, I think, at my just regular old grocery store for the Minute Maid option. So that's really the linchpin of this whole argument is whether or not other people are paying this much for Minute Maid frozen concentrate.
Yeah, I'll have to keep an eye out next time I go grocery shopping and see if they're still in stock and how much they actually cost. Because for all I know, the Instacart thing I saw could be totally wrong.
This is going to be one of those products that's relegated to nostalgia bait for us, where it's like, anybody remember these? And we're 90 years old on Facebook or whatever version of Facebook that we have in that year. And it's just like, yes, I do. It flakes weird.
Yeah, it's going to be like a Dunkaroos equivalent or something like that for sure.
The only way I could see somebody wanting to buy this product is for a level of, I guess, prepperism or maybe cutting down on plastic waste. But yeah, it's a bygone era. Nobody's making concentrated juice anymore. And if they are, I think they're saving a lot of money by buying the store brand and not opting for Minute Maid.
Florida health officials recently reported that 28 of 46 candy products tested under the Healthy Florida First initiative contain detectable levels of arsenic, with some exceeding recommended daily limits for children. This report comes on the tails of a similar testing of infant formula, as well as a more recent test for glyphosate in bread, and is part of a broader effort to inform Floridians of the potential health risks found in everyday products.
I am realizing that I can only talk about swag so many times, so many weeks in a row before it becomes apparent that one day I'll have to come up with a suitable term for what I mean by this conglomeration of accessibility and cultural relevance, aesthetic certitude, and outward confidence. Because I think that making a website like realfood.gov, which we covered several weeks ago, was a positive swag move, but promoting that website with a picture of RFK with the Mike Tyson face tattoo is negative swag. Anyway, I think that whatever word that I land on for this, exposingfoodtoxins.com has it. It has the swag. And I think it might be a propaganda piece from one of the most crooked states in the nation. But I think most people who see a lot of scary stuff on social media will feel good to see something like a clean website with a plain English URL and highly legible tables.
I disagree. I think this website has no swag. You look at the website and it's got this mother like spinning her daughter around by the arms. It looks like a medication commercial basically. And there's like no information on the website at all. I'm looking at it right now. You click over to the candy toxins page and like, yeah, you have this nice little clean table, but there's absolutely zero information about the testing done or the sample size for these products, how many different kinds of each individual of these candies that they tested and things like that. There's like no information. I think it is lacking swag, if I'm being honest.
Hold on. Swag and information are often at odds. Like you think of a guy who's like, I've got so much money, and you're like, whoa, swag. And then he's like hiding all of the debt, that he used to buy his fancy car or whatever. Like it does very much read as a website made by one guy, and it almost certainly wasn't, since it has the backing of a bunch of state politicians, but it's just very low on information. It's almost like a proof of concept website to see how much it sticks.
Yeah, it looks like the kind of website that you could make like for free in WordPress or something like that. That's not to say that like, I'm sure there is like many things like this, at least some kind of, grain of truth to this. But I agree with a friend of the show, Hydroxide, put out a wonderful video about this on Instagram, TikTok, wherever you get your short forms. That was basically like, we're gonna put our tinfoil hat on here for a second. This it's a little weird that it's a .com website and not like a .gov or a .org when it is supposed to be like working hand in hand with like the Florida government, and that's a little bit weird. Personally, I find it a little bit odd that like the candies that had nothing in them were like listed at the very end all together. These two like major better for you candy brands, Yum Earth and Unreal. And there's a part of me that's like, who's funding these tests, like is this, do they want to make Hershey stock dip so you could buy up some of that or something? I don't know anything about stocks. Don't listen to me about any of this. My biggest takeaway though was that they said me as an adult, if I eat 60 Nerds gummy clusters a year, that I'm in a bad place. And I got to tell you, I'm definitely in a bad place if that's the
Yeah.
case.
60, I think you could probably crush 60 in a day, right? It's a very poppable
I'm
snack.
sure you could. I definitely shouldn't, but I definitely could.
I think there's going to be a good contingency of viewers who think that I really need to come up with a different word other than swag, but we're just rolling with it until I come up with a different one. That like swag equals goodness, that it's like a goodness or a morality indicator. But no, it's like I want to explain that swag battles happen at the tip of the iceberg, and like the big important chunks that nobody wants to see are done by people with.
Swag battles.
Yes, that's what we're doing here.
That's what we're doing here every week.
The big important chunks that nobody wants to see are done by people who like are willing to lift others up by doing the unsexy research and like the uncool work around things like food deserts and food accessibility. And I think that like people who really do care about feeding their fellow man healthy, nutritious food are largely doing the work. There's not a whole lot of them, but the people who do care seem to be doing that work. But
yeah, you know what? Swag caring about stuff.
But, like content production and content consumption is way more focused on like the swag of it all. Like who's going to win our weird decade-long struggle to decide on like what the US settles on as its puritanical pseudo-religious abstinence campaign, be it from seed oils or alcohol or protein or carbs or sugar or red 40. And that's what we're doing way up here while all the important stuff is going on down at the base.
I do think it's funny to like be comparing it to like seed oils and carbs and red 40 and things like that, because those are things that like people expect to be in food. Arsenic, maybe not so much.
I can't say that with certainty because it's like certain foods do have a tiny amount of lead in them at all times. Like anything from the sea is going to have some level of lead to it. So who knows? Maybe there is a level of arsenic that you can just expect in certain foods.
I mean, that is true. Something that Hydroxide touches on in the video is like organic versus inorganic arsenic. And, that organic arsenic is like naturally occurring in things. Apple seeds naturally have arsenic in them. You would have to eat a quantum shit ton of apple seeds to feel any sort of like effect there, of course, but it is there. So it is, occurring in things. And that is one of the issues with some of this information presented on the website. It's like how much of this is, naturally occurring in some of these ingredients and how much of this is like, going to have negative health effects.
I guess to me, I just imagine a lot of like really worried moms who are just like, everything is poison. And so whether or not this website houses the information that's the most accurate, as long as it's helpful to somebody who's just like, oh, thank goodness I could just buy this baby formula or this candy and I'll be a little bit less sketched out by it all. It's like probably a net positive for anybody experiencing psychosis online with how many reels are out there trying to scare everybody.
I mean, you do have a point there, but at the same time, like if you are the type of person that is experiencing that like quote unquote like psychosis that you were talking about, like you can find anything on the internet to like validate your point of view and get sort of what you want out of like an ideal product, whether it is like you're trying to avoid like seed oils or dyes or whatever, arsenic, what have you. And yeah, I get that this is like a good resource. I'm not saying that like all of the information here is going to be like wildly wrong and nobody should pay attention to this. It just feels a little odd.
I guess to me, it's just like whatever can make people eat fewer Hershey's products. I don't care. Whether it's because they're afraid of arsenic or there's some sort of like spiritual curse placed on it or some other like voodoo madness. There could be any number of things that get people to stop buying Hershey's products. And I'll be like, all right, go ahead.
Meal replacement products like liquid salad and Huel are gaining popularity among busy, health-conscious millennials seeking convenience. Marketed through social media with sleek wellness branding, they appeal to a wide audience ranging from busy white-collar workers to fitness-focused consumers and GLP-1 users. Unlike the old tech-centric Soylent model, these products present efficiency as aspirational and lifestyle-friendly rather than purely utilitarian.
My only data point is personal and anecdotal, but the whole liquid salad is a brand that I've only seen from a young man online whose whole brand is maximizing the volume and aroma of his digestive gas in a short form video series called Fart Maxing. Have you seen those videos?
I have not seen those
Okay, good.
videos.
Don't watch them.
I would say that I try to avoid any flatulence-based content across the board.
This might just be because so many people send me stuff thinking like, oh, this is going to go on the Tuesday feed slot. But, anytime somebody has sent me one of that guy's videos, I just assumed that the whole series was a low-key ad campaign for liquid salad, the way that Chris Young's YouTube channel is an ad campaign for his thermometer brand, because anytime he's making one of his little weird, freakish drink mixes, he adds liquid salad to it.
I mean, I can't speak to the liquid salad. It's not something I really heard about before this article. Not to say that, people aren't using it, but I definitely recognized more of the other brands that they talked about, like Huel, Daily Harvest, and Soylent. I think I've said this on the show before, but I originally discovered your YouTube channel through your Soylent video from many years ago. And that's to say that I was not immune to the convenient marketing of Soylent. Like, I was that, like, convenience-seeking millennial that was like, I just need to drink my lunch so that I don't have to think about it. I think that people from all walks of life really are gravitating towards these things. And, I don't know that that's necessarily like a good thing or a bad thing. But as a society, we have been like dreaming up ways to like take a pill for a meal for, the earliest instances I could find were like the late 1800s in like anti-feminist literature about like the women are going to stop cooking and we're all going to have to eat meal pills. But
Look, it's
it's
happening
also
right
something
before your eyes.
but it's also something that we see a lot in like sci-fi, like back in like the Jetsons. There's like a Doctor Who episode where it comes up. So like, we might not be eating the meal pills, but the constant ever-changing landscape of bars and shakes and microwavable meal slop like tells me that these products are not going away anytime soon.
I do envy the people who see eating as a chore and just wish that they could drink it away with a shake. Like, I could probably count on one hand the number of times in my life where eating felt like a chore, because for better or for worse, it's like eating is what I look forward to throughout the day. I was eating breakfast with my son the other day. I was like, what do you want to eat for lunch? And my wife was like, are you crazy? So, I know I'm not the target demographic for products like these, but doubly so because there's no sense of fullness. Like, a big reason why it's very difficult for me to control how much I eat is like I'm very much after that sense of fullness. And even if like a protein shake was just like, here you go, here's all your nutrition in once, it's like I have to have it.
You do make a good point there. That's actually something that Dan tells me about these as well. I'm always trying to be like, you don't eat enough before you go to work. Like, you should drink one of these protein shakes. And he's like, it doesn't matter. I'm just still hungry. I still want to eat something. It doesn't do anything for me. So I think you have a good point there. I think that it's not hitting that mark for a lot of people. And yeah, I love cooking. I love eating. That's not a surprise to anybody. But sometimes I just don't want to dirty dishes. Sometimes I'm tired. Sometimes I don't feel good. Like, sometimes I just want to sip my little like thick protein coffee beverage and just be done with it.
Yeah, but to me, I would rather just eat nothing. I wish I could, like I
Well,
eat
that's not a good solution.
no, I eat so much like fat and salt and protein. It's like I've been a hibernating bear for 35 years. And it's just like I could probably go without a lunch, but it's just I need to have that fullness. It's part of what drives me every day. I do see, speaking of like unhealthy relationships to eating, that your summary said aspirational and lifestyle friendly. Like, is this marketing code for the skinny girl aesthetic coming back? Because I know a lot of people like to posture that aesthetic is coming back. That of the 90s, the Kardashians removing their BBLs and skinny low-rise jeans coming back.
I mean, I definitely think so. When I think of these like meal replacement drinks, the first thing that I think of, because it was like the most prominent example like around me growing up, were those Slim Fast shakes. So I think that the sort of aspirational quality of it all is very much around thinness.
It's just I just know it's never going to work for me. I wish it would, but the idea that I could like take a pill and not need nutrition anymore is by an order of magnitude less important compared to the idea of like taking a pill and not being hungry anymore. That's like the main thing.
I think that a lot of people would agree with you there. Good news is that we live in a world where you can have both. You can take your vitamin pill and then you can eat something for lunch.
I thought you were going to say the new Novo Nordisk GLP-1 daily pill. Did you see that exists now? It's a pill instead of an injection.
I did. I have seen advertisements for this. I thought that was crazy.
Well, normally this would be a segue into new products, but since we started with new products, I think we're going to end with, is there anything worth watching this week? And if you say no, I've got one for you.
I don't really have any video content ready for this week.
Mine is disgusting and vile. It is an episode of a podcast called Podcast About List, simply titled The Shrimp Off. And this whole podcast, I never heard about it before. This got put on my radar because a week before this episode, these guys spent a whole episode planning a shrimp eating competition because one guy was like, oh, I could very easily eat like 5 pounds of shrimp in one sitting. And when they were planning how this competition was going to take place, they referenced my poached shrimp video and said like, okay, I kind of want to eat shrimp cooked in this way because it would be gentle and more flavorful. Are you ready to stop me on this story? Or shall I keep going?
No, I'm ready to hear it. Tell me about eating 4 pounds of shrimp.
I don't want to spoil it in case anybody wants to see how it ends, but I will say that one of the two competitors made an incredible, valiant, successful in my eyes effort towards eating an ungodly amount of shrimp. I will say that in the end, some viewer discretion is advised because it is gross. There's a bit of body horror to it. But if you've ever wondered how much shrimp the person in your life who loves shrimp the most could eat, it's a good watch. And that's not because that they referenced me a week before. It was a feat to behold.
I can only imagine how disgusting this might be. Anytime somebody that is not like a Joey Chestnut type like professional food eater tries to attempt some sort of like eating challenge, it's always so disgusting and horrible. Like people love to think that they're like, I love this food. I could eat such a crazy amount of it. And you're like, no, like the people who are doing hot dog eating competitions aren't like eating a nice like hot dog that they love covered in condiments they like. They're dunking it in water and just like horking it down their throats. Like it's not an enjoyable process.
You're right, and that is why I think the Shrimp Off was such a fantastic episode of TV. I'll call it TV. The gentleman who performed the most remarkably was doing these feats of like crumbling up the shrimp in his hands as an effort of like pre-chewing it, and he was just so utilitarian about it. It was really just a magnificent like heart of a champion to watch unfold in real time. So hopefully we have more family-friendly recommendations for our food media at the end of the show, but to start this off, the Shrimp Off.
I will be watching this, unfortunately. I think after talking about it, there's no way that I can't. I will be bracing myself, though.
All right, good. See you all next week. Thank you for watching.
Bye, guys.
Eater's Digest is published every Friday on YouTube, Spotify, and other podcast platforms. You can also get a text-based version delivered to your email every Friday at patreon.com/shack.